Hey everybody, welcome to Hidden Horror. How are you guys doing today? Well, today I'm here. I want to give an update on what's happening in the Sean Combs criminal case. He has been convicted of two charges, and I want to go over them. So we're going to go right to the article. I'm going to pull up a picture of Mr. Combs because we're talking about him. I'll enlarge that and we can get right to it. This article is coming from CBSNews.com. It's dated July 2nd, 2025. It's by Kiki Intersulwan and Alex Sunby. It's titled Sean Diddy Combs to Remain Detained Ahead of Sentencing on Prostitution Related Charges. Let's get started. Sean Diddy Combs will remain detained after a jury found him guilty Wednesday of transportation to engage in prostitution in his high-profile trial in New York City. The music mogul was acquitted of the more severe charges of racketeering conspiracy and sex trafficking. Judge Arun Subramanian said he denied bail for Combs because he disagreed with the defense's argument that the crimes shouldn't trigger mandatory detention. Combs was convicted of two counts of prostitution related charges. Each count carries a maximum sentence of 10 years in prison. Combs will get 10 months of credit for time served so far, the judge said Wednesday, proposing a sentencing date of October 3rd. After leaving court, Combs' attorney declined to comment on the bail denial, saying a lot of these things are still in process. We are not nearly done fighting, defense attorney Mark Agnifilio told reporters outside U.S. District Court in Lower Manhattan. Today was a major step in the right direction, but we fight on and we're going to win and we're not going to stop until he walks out of prison a free man to his family. Wow, that's really strong language. Prosecutors previously said their preliminary calculations indicate Combs should get at least 51 to 63 months imprisonment on the two convictions or a sentence of roughly 4 to 5 years. They told the judge Wednesday that Combs is wealthy and capable of fleeing. Okay, well, he doesn't have to flee now because he's only received two counts where he was convicted. Combs has also shown no remorse or regret in abusing his ex-girlfriend, Jane, the prosecution said, adding that the defense's suggestion that Combs slapping James while she was in the shower was in self-defense is insulting. Combs was found guilty of transportation to engage in prostitution involving Jane. He was also accused of sex trafficking Jane by force, fraud, or coercion, a charge the jury found him not guilty of. Jane had told the court she often participated in what she called hotel nights, which also involved drugs. She testified she would have sex with a male escort while Combs watched. She said she told Combs many times that she didn't want to have sex with other men and didn't like the hotel nights. Prosecutors said Combs had drugs and supplies for another act of prostitution in the New York hotel where he stayed and also invited Jane to come before he was arrested. Following the 7-week jury trial, Combs' attorney moved to have him released from the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn, where he has been held during the trial. They argued that the 55-year-old had been acquitted of the most serious charges and that continued detention of Mr. Combs is inappropriate. Well, it depends on what is the sentencing range, because he could still be incarcerated if he's not done that time. Let's continue. He is a man who's in the process of working on himself. He's been a model prisoner, Combs' lawyer told the judge. I just think we should trust him that he's not going to flee, the defense said. The defense said Combs should be able to return to his Miami home, emphasizing that this was his first conviction. In a filing submitted to the judge on Wednesday, Combs's legal team said he came to New York to surrender because he was committed to showing his innocence and that Combs should be released pending sentencing. The attorney cited conditions under the Bail Reform Act that states a defendant who has been found guilty of an offense is entitled to release pending sentencing if the court finds by clear and convincing evidence that he is not likely to flee or pose a danger to the safety of any other person or the community if released. Well, see, that's tough because some people came out and said that they were afraid, that they were happy he was incarcerated, that they felt safer, and that they felt like they could speak because he was in custody, in police custody. Let's continue. Federal prosecutors, however, argue that the Bail Reform Act dictates that Combs should remain in custody. In their filing to the judge, prosecutors said the crimes Combs was convicted of constitute crimes of violence and mandate detention following the defendant's conviction. As detention is mandatory following a conviction of a Mann Act offense, the government has been unable to locate a case in which a defendant was released from custody following such a conviction, prosecutors said. So they're trying to have Mr. Combs released. He wants to get out. He wants to have that time back to himself, where he would have the freedom to do things pending his sentencing in October. So I have a very short video that we're going to check out. It's right about 2 minutes. It's by E! News. It's titled, Sean Diddy Combs Found Guilty on 2 Counts in Trial Verdict. And let's check it out.
Sean Diddy Combs' fate has been determined. After weeks of testimony in the rap mogul's sex trafficking trial, was found not guilty on count 1, racketeering conspiracy. As to count 2, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, which pertained to victim 1, Cassie Ventura, he was also found not guilty. On count 3, transportation to engage in prostitution, also pertaining to victim 1, Cassie Ventura, and commercial sex workers, he was found guilty. Combs was found not guilty on count 4, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, which pertained to victim 2, aka Jane. And count 5, transportation to engage in prostitution, also pertaining to victim 2, Jane, and commercial sex workers, he was found guilty. Since May, the prosecution has been arguing that the Bad Boy Records founder had used his sprawling network of employees to carry out illegal activity, including orchestrating days-long freak-offs that required an onslaught of illegal substances and sex workers around the country. Combs' former employees, including assistants George Kaplan, who received immunity for his testimony, as well as Capricorn Clark and a woman who was only called Mia during the trial, had taken the stand to share their experiences working for him. Clark had testified that Combs forced her to go with him to, quote, kill rapper Kid Cudi, whose real name is Scott Muscati, after learning about his romance with Combs' ex, Cassie Ventura, whom the music mogul dated on and off from 2007 to 2018. Ventura also took the stand in the case. Combs had pleaded not guilty to sex trafficking, racketeering conspiracy, sex trafficking by force, fraud, or coercion, as well as transportation to engage in prostitution.
Okay, so I think you guys, you clearly understand what's going on in the case. He's been found guilty of 2 counts. He's going to face his sentencing in October. He wants to be released. He doesn't want to stay detained. His attorneys are going to be fighting to try to get him out between now and October, which is about 3 months. So I just want to bring you that information. There was really a mixed verdict. They decided 4 of the 5 charges, and he was found guilty on 2 counts. He could face additional time in prison depending on the sentencing guidelines for him. It's his first conviction. They could do time served. They could put him on a tether. They could do different creative things if they're going to release him, because it's going to be a lot of work to keep him protected because he is a high-profile individual. So we'll see what happens if his sentencing doesn't move up. They probably request a quicker date, because that's 3 months out, and they're probably feeling like, hey, we can get this sentencing done in July, so we see where we are. We don't have to wait 3 months for sentencing, because that's more, wasted time for Mr. Combs. So let me know what you think. I really don't have a strong opinion about Mr. Combs. I kind of felt like, again, I've said before, they were going to try to diminish the testimony of the alleged victims. They were going to try to make it appear to do these that they had the benefit of some assistance, some financial support from Combs, and that they could, even if they didn't want to do it, come to the freak-offs then. Or in the case of Mrs. Jane, though, it doesn't appear that she was maybe his main interest, his main love interest. So allegedly she was jealous of another person that he was publicly seeing. And if you're not his wife or his main interest, just remove yourself. So I already knew how that was going to go. It's sometimes hard to prove, especially if you have text messages where the person is showing, that it's okay, or they're planning this. It could be hard to prove. Now, I think what they could have proved was an assault on Cassie, but it was probably past the statute of limitations. The assault of Cassie Ventura, but it's probably past the time frame of a statute of limitations for assault or battery charge. So let me know what you think. Thanks for checking out this video. Thanks for spending this time with me. I really, really appreciate it. I want you to enjoy this 4th of July. Get out, have a hot dog, have some fireworks, be around your family, your friends, your